I love anime. Yeah, but like, I don't really see a problem with me doing it again. You know what? You're kinda right. Let's just fast forward to what actually matters. But I never was satisfied enough with just watching the animes. I needed to consume more information and media coming out of these wonderful worlds. And that's when I discovered the world of commentary AniTubers. I clearly remember the first person I ever watched like this. His name is Nux Taku. He's a French YouTuber that covered a lot of animes, but the one he got known for mainly was Dragon Ball, which happens to be my favorite anime of all time. I always liked his analysis of series like Dragon Ball and Attack on Titan, because he was the first person who gave me insight to something I never thought about, that being what the story told the viewer. And by that I mean the lessons and messages that the author would convey to us. One of the best examples would be Goku having this nature versus nurture struggle. While it isn't explicitly told to us the viewers, we see how Goku throughout the Saiyan saga and the Frieza saga grows to accept his Saiyan heritage. He went from full-on refusing to be called a Saiyan to accepting and carrying the heritage and burdens of his race, defeating the one that was the reason that they almost went extinct. Goku was able to accept both of the heritages that he got, because at the end of the day, both are core elements of who he is as a person. By the time I got good at understanding English, I started to watch a wider variety of AniTubers. People like Mother's Basement, Giguk, The Anime Man, ABD, Echidnut, and the subject of this video, Nux Taku. If you've been in the anime, VTubing, or even the commentary spaces of YouTube for some time now, you probably already have heard of Nux Taku. Just like almost everyone I mentioned here, Nux was a commentary AniTuber, one that got a lot of recognition for the many analysis videos he made. He then grew even more with him collabing frequently with a lot of other creators, mostly in the VTubing and anime community. Nux was actually one of the big boys in these communities, gathering millions of views and a really big audience. But well, I won't say that this is the reason he's most known for nowadays. Nux's reputation in these communities is, well, let's say it frankly, pretty bad. He's a pretty controversial topic on Twitter, which in itself doesn't really tell anything because everything becomes controversial on Twitter. Still, Nux seems to gather a lot of hate, criticism, and gets cancelled like at least 3 times a year. I myself am someone that regularly turned into Nux's content over the last couple years, and while I do think that there are definitely things where Nux messed up, I never saw him as the horrible and problematic person that so many people seem to paint him as. That is why I wanted to make this video about Nux's journey in content creation and try to give you my thoughts about everything that happened between him and the community, trying to give a clear image to why he is in the position he is today. So let's get into it. Before going any further, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. My last video about Kirito got copyright flagged and blocked multiple times, and by the time my appeals got through, it was completely out of the algorithm. Funnily enough, that video was the one I worked the most on to this day, so I would appreciate it if you could check it out or just show any support. Thank you. So let's start from the beginning. Nux began making videos regularly by August of 2015. And contrary to what I believed, he started as a channel more focused on parody. His sarcastic anime trailer videos and abridged videos were the first stepping stones of what I now know is a trademark of Nux, his sarcasm and sense of humor. It was something that I think kept being pretty consistent throughout his 8-year journey in content creation, even though I think that a lot of people seem to have missed it back in the day and still seem to do it nowadays. This somehow always seems to come back to bite him in the ass in the most bizarre of ways. All in all, he started his career making what he probably always has loved the most, fun videos where he can use his own sense of humor. But I myself never learned of Nux because of that, and I do think that a lot of Nux's early stage audience also were not really attracted by that initially. What really attracted me and a lot of other people to Nux were his analysis and top 10 videos. I think I am not exaggerating when saying that these videos are the biggest reason he was able to start growing so much as a creator. Nux was someone that was pretty good at breaking down stories and afterwards script and produce videos. He was also able to find the formulas to create multiple series of videos that attracted a lot of attention. Just to quote some, there were the overpowered done right videos, the honest descriptions, villain breakdowns, top 10 videos, and many others. But to me, when I think of old school Nux's video, I think of two types of videos. The No One Understands series and the Biggest Flexes in Anime series. These two were what I think were the most successful series of Nux's career as a person mainly focused on analyzing anime. The No One Understands series was a pretty clever one where he would go in depth analyzing and sharing his thoughts about certain characters in fiction. Nux's script writing was great for these kinds of videos, being able to convey his thoughts successfully to everyone else. I absolutely adored watching these videos and they were a big cornerstone in his community. And on that note, Nux, please, when we will get No One Understands story we've been waiting for years. We then have the biggest flexes in anime videos. These once again were more on the compilation side of Nux's videos, like the top 10 videos. While the vids in itself were pretty straightforward, they still have done some of the best numbers in Nux's channel. And for good reasons. The videos were just great videos to gather around and just appreciate all of these hype and cool moments that happened in anime, with a lot of them having some of our favorite characters in it. The thing with Nux is that he kind of cracked the formula of what worked at the time, being able to drop videos that would gather a lot of views and satisfy a wide audience. Nux's career at that point was in full bloom, rapidly growing and creating a community that loved his in-depth analysis videos of anime and appreciated his other content that was related to the animes we all appreciated. From what I've seen, he also was a known problematic person, with the only real problems being his channel getting demonetized and getting cancelled over nothing burgers and people greatly misunderstanding him or his sarcasm and jokes. But well, there would come a change that greatly divided his community. Around 4 years into his career, Nux started to have some changes in the content he made. It was still centered around anime, but he slowly started to drift away from the analysis format. He started making more videos about topics that interested him, like video game characters, YouTubers, and the anime communities themselves. He also started making far more reactionary type of content, used a lot more clickbaity thumbnails and titles. Nux started making vids again where his personality took the forefront. He would be having fun trolling, being sarcastic, memeing, and just trying to make people laugh again and have a fun time watching his videos. I think it is obvious, but having such a drastic change over a couple of months can be extremely dividing for a community. That at least was the case for Nux's community. A lot of people didn't really like the direction Nux decided to take, and others who still supported Nux started to feel like they missed the old Nux. I honestly don't think these people are per se wrong with how they felt about Nux going this direction. The majority of the people watching his content subscribed because they loved his in-depth analysis videos and other videos where anime was at the center. It was pretty fair for them to not like the direction that he went for. But this time, I would like to look at it from Nux's perspective. Like I said a bit before, Nux was able to find the working formulas for his videos. His in-depth analysis videos pretty much always were hits, and that made it possible for him to have a wider audience every time he made them. But it is in that sea of videos that lied the problem. He pretty much started only making content that worked. It's pretty apparent when looking at his old videos, but you can kind of see that Nux really kept following trends when making these videos. Be it the types of videos that were popular in the anime community, or video series that he started making himself that seemed to work greatly. He just kept spamming and spamming these breakdown videos, and he himself got rewarded for it by the YouTube algorithm. But well, at some point he understood that this wasn't what he wanted to do, or at least wasn't the only thing he wanted to do with his channel. Nux then addressed the situation in his video titled "Old Nux is Dead." From Nux's perspective, the analysis videos became a great tool to grow on YouTube. It's evident from the beginnings of Nux's channel that he wanted to make this channel about having fun times, with his personality being a key factor. But making analysis videos just was the most efficient way of making his channel grow. It was when he started to have a far bigger reach that he started to slow down on the analysis videos and direct his content towards more jokes and memes. And it wasn't like he stopped making these videos at all. He just did not throw them out at the pace that he did in the past. He tried to go more in depth and have more quality and quantity in one video, which made it seem like he started to let go of that side of his content. So to him, the old Nux wasn't dead. He just became better and also began showing his antics and personality more to his viewers. Nux slowly changing his content was pretty good for himself, as he was able to rebrand as the Nux that everyone loves or hates nowadays, and not be anime analyst number 45,368. The only problem lied with the reception of the community. A lot of people dislike this new type of content, which in my opinion is fair. The thing that was not were the people that still consumed his content even though they disliked it, and began to hate him as a person. Nux's personality is not fit for everyone, especially not in a community like the anime community. I myself don't get offended by things he says or does, and think it is a bit silly to get offended by that, but I can understand these people, and his humor and personality just might not be for them. Even after having said all of this, I'm pretty sure that he still wasn't really that much of a problem in the anime community, even with his new type of content and his early days community getting divided. The real problems will only rise in the next communities where he would make a name for himself. Like I said, Nux started to change the direction that his channel went to, even more after the old Nux is Dead video. He also began streaming on Twitch, further building his community there. But the one thing that really began exploding on Nux's channel were the unbelievable amounts of collabs he made with other content creators. I think that most people that have learned about Nux about the past year or two might not really realize how big Nux actually was in the content creator space. Nux collabed with the majority of the big people in the anime community, even some that I genuinely did not expect, like Vshojo, one of my favorite content creators on YouTube. But Nux did not just stop at his own niche and expanded into the greater sea of content creators. He expanded his collabs to content creators like Most Critical, Mudahar, Deji, Quite Tectone, and many others. Nux just was someone that was extremely good in making connections and creating content with other people. One of the reasons he was able to even get so many connections was thanks to him raiding people and having them react to whatever shenanigans he was up to. It not only made great content for his own channel, it also helped his name get known to a far wider audience than the Anime and Vtubing community. He also was able to invite a lot of other people to his channel thanks to him creating concepts that were bound to gather a lot of views and, most importantly, were fun for everyone involved. All in all, Nux was someone that was able to connect with so many people thanks to his hard work, funny concepts, and welcoming personality. Until now, I've only been singing praises about the way Nux has been able to grow his community and make connections with so many content creators on Twitch and YouTube. But while a lot of people had the same sentiments as me, there also was a big portion of people that started to really dislike Nux starting that time. I've always wondered why so many people began to dislike and avoid Nux's content from that time on, so I decided to put on my detective goggles and try to understand why. And what better place to understand why people hate something than the ever-giving lens of Twitter. So as for the reasons to why Nux was disliked so much, from what I've seen on my long time in these trenches, they would be: first, that Nux's content on YouTube started to get centered around extremely degenerate stuff, followed by how edgy Nux can be, and what I think is the most harmful claim, the one that Nux maliciously took advantage of the friends he made to grow bigger on the platforms he uses. Naturally, these claims in the ears of someone that is not familiar with Nux can paint him in a really bad light. Especially the last claim. I think I have a pretty nuanced take when it comes to this claim, so I will give you my thoughts while also trying to shed some light on why people might come to these conclusions. So let's start with Nux's content. It is undeniable that Nux was, let's just say, bordering the NSFW category. Just having a quick look at all of the thumbnails he had over the last couple of years gives you a direct understanding of this claim. It is clear that Nux embraces this clearly degenerate type of content and went further beyond into creating more content out of it. He did it mostly by getting a lot of other people involved, like him showing them extremely sus anime clips or him having his whole 34 tournaments. And these videos, well, they worked really well and generated a lot of views. Mostly because of the nature of the videos and how clickbaity that type of content is, but also because he was able to bring so many personalities into these videos, which pretty much guaranteed some level of success. The problem at hand is that not everyone likes this type of content. And honestly, that once again is pretty fair. You have the right to dislike and criticize whatever you want. In Nux's case, I think it is pretty understandable for some of his regular viewers to dislike this change in content and criticizing it. He did start his career in a completely different avenue and later decided to change his content pretty drastically, even though the change came gradually. So I believe that people disliking this change of his content is totally fair, and it would make sense if they slowly started to disconnect with his content altogether. What I can't get behind are the people that started to really talk shit about Nux's decision to change his content. I think it is obvious, but no content creator has a real obligation to their viewers. I think it is honorable and awesome if someone feels like they owe their viewers something, because they are the ones that even gave them a platform in the first place. But by no means does that mean that the viewers have the right to restrict or put a creator into a box. The decision that Nux took is one that I respect, with him deciding to show more of his own in the videos, and wanting to connect with people through other things than his anime analysis videos, and wanting to have his personality be more at the center of things. Speaking of his personality, it is another thing that people started to dislike about Nux. Him being pretty edgy and his sense of humor are things that always seem to spark some form of controversy on Twitter. Just like I said, Nux had always shown that he was quite the sarcastic and humoristic dude by the first videos he ever uploaded. He just never was able to fully show his personality again because of the nature of his analysis videos. I think that most of the people that kept watching his videos and already were acquainted with him did not really have a problem with his sense of humor. After all, the edgy and sarcastic jokes were always a part of his brand. The problem lied with the new people he began to attract with his content. Nux's growth through the multiple collabs he had were great. It broadened his horizons and made him visible to an even bigger audience. Problem is that not everyone in that big audience could laugh with the sarcastic comments and jokes Nux made. Some people got offended by them, might it be because they think the jokes were in bad taste, or in the worst cases, them thinking that Nux was not joking or being sarcastic at all, and this claims were what he actually felt like. Once again, it is fair for people to think that these jokes and comments are in bad taste, because it is their experience with that content. As long as they don't keep spamming about it being in bad taste because they can't stop coming back to his videos, I see no problem with it. But the more harmful people are those that actually think that Nux is not joking or being sarcastic. The main problem with these people is that they spread the idea that Nux is an extremely problematic and hateful person. While I think it is true that Nux is somewhat problematic, it has more to do with his takes on certain topics online. I'm not saying that his takes are either bad or good. I'm thinking more of the fact that he gives his takes on the internet, where people are bound to find problems with them, no matter what sides you take or do not take. But calling Nux a hateful person is where you cross the line. Nux never has been one to incite any kind of harassment towards anyone. Even in times where he gives criticism of people he might dislike, he never gave statements with the intent of bringing said people down. Going back to his jokes, I also think it is pretty hard to miss the fact that he's joking or making sarcastic comments if you watch his content. Not saying that it is impossible, just highly improbable. The 2 points that I brought up were ones that have been existing with Nux for quite some time, even somewhat before he really started expanding to a wider audience. He did get cancelled at times, but they really were nothing burgers, and most people didn't really fall into that trap of just believing what was told about Nux. This began to change after the last claim began to grow in popularity. Nux being a person that abuses his friendships to get views and grow on his platforms. If we go back to the times where Nux made a lot of content with others, it is obvious that he got a lot of views thanks to the association with so many people in the content creation scene. Tournaments, reaction videos, sus content, having so many people involved in all these projects was just a great way for all the parties involved to grow their platforms. Now going back to the claim of Nux being an opportunistic friend. At the beginning, these accusations really did not even exist. Even if people tried to push that narrative, it was something extremely hard to believe because we saw the many interactions that Nux had with all these other content creators. They, from what we saw as viewers, always were good interactions. People never had any reasons to create or start believing this idea of Nux. Before going any further, I have to put a disclaimer. The event I'm going to mention next probably was the drama that affected Nux's career the most to this day. I am only mentioning it because it is crucial to know it happened and how it happened. This by no means is an invitation to start hating or harassing anyone involved in that drama. Both parties have already apologized to each other and moved on from these events, so I just hope that you will be able to at least keep it civil and not begin another witch hunt when having conversations about this. Without further ado, let's get into it. This drama started by the end of 2021. The parties involved were the Vtubing agency Vshojo and Nux himself. Before this drama started, Nux and the Vshojo members were on really good and friendly terms, mostly because Nux already had befriended the majority of them before the agency even was a thing. The most obvious friendship there was the one between Nux and Melody. They really made a lot of content together, which came in the benefit of both parties. When Vshojo was founded, Nux was also one of the people that had been making a lot of content with them. And for a while, well, it went really well. This all changed when Nux and Vshojo were involved with a group of doxers though. Basically, Nux got a mail from Vshojo inviting him in the company. It seemed pretty legit, but before answering it and giving his personal information, he messaged the CEO of Vshojo, Gunrun. This was a situation that they already were aware of and were investigating. Now knowing that this mail was made with malicious intent, in particular doxing, Nux decided to write a short tweet, telling people about what was happening while withholding the details. He mainly wanted to spread awareness to the other VTubers and content creators in the scene. Some days later, Nux made a video about it, explaining the situation and giving bits of information to us viewers. He talked about how he was able to help with the investigation and even got acknowledged by Vshojo, who officially thanked him for what he had done. Sadly, the other members of Vshojo were not happy with the video, asking Nux to take it down in private. They felt like this video put them in more dangers of doxing. Due to Nux not taking the video down immediately, the members decided to all call him out on Twitter, effectively killing his image in the eyes of the public. That is also when one of the members claimed that Nux only saw his friends as an easy way to make content and took advantage of them. It's only a day after the tweets that Nux decided to take down the video. He later made a response video explaining his side of things and how he had first talked things out with Gunrun, a person in the cybersecurity department of Vshojo, and one of the girls in Vshojo. From the receipts that Nux showed, it was apparent that he did have the authorization of Vshojo to post the video, with them supervising the content in it, even asking him to adjust some parts of the video. That was what I think is the main reason that Nux did not take the video down initially, due to how confused he was. He did ask permission and showed the video to Vshojo, with them agreeing to let him upload the video. After his side of the story began to get hurt more and more, the parties talked things through and were able to solve the situation. The problem mostly lied on miscommunication between the management of Vshojo and all the parties involved. I'm not saying that no one made mistakes in that situation but Vshojo. I think that both Nux and the girls of Vshojo had created some difficulties that could have been avoided. At the end of the day, everyone apologized to each other in private and some public apologies were given. But well, the damage to Nux's reputation was still done. If you want to get a better understanding of this whole situation, I recommend watching Turkey Tom's video about it. He was pretty objective in the way he looked at the situation and was a good reporter, at least to me. Before continuing, I once again want to ask you to not bring all of this old drama up to harass or judge the current Vshojo. It is true that Vshojo at the time messed up. I would even say that they showed some incompetence in terms of communication and cybersecurity. But they were able to change for the better. I would say that Vshojo probably had the worst reputation as a VTubing agency, but nowadays, well, they seem to be one of the, if not the most well-regarded agency in the community. I think it is because of the positivity that they have been able to bring to us and the new talents that have joined them over the last year or so. If you know about their history, you can understand why so many people have been happy about their inclusion into Vshojo. But what matters more is their comments about Vshojo, and they are overwhelmingly positive. The talents there are just happy and feel like they get the support that they always wanted to have. Them talking about what Vshojo has done for them slowly began to change how everyone saw the agency. And to me, it doesn't get better than seeing other people genuinely happy, even more if these people are people you regularly tune into. But back to Nux. Sadly, from what I've seen, Nux did not get the same treatment as Vshojo. The problem to me lied on the fact that Nux was put on the spotlights for him to be shamed and called a horrible person, not only for what happened with Vshojo, but also for the other things people criticized him for that I've went over. The truth is that with him having gotten outed as a horrible friend, people were also quick to believe others when talking about how horrible his personality, jokes and content was. And that is also mostly due to the quoting and clipping out of context that happened a lot with Nux. Even when both parties apologized to each other and his side of the story got known more, it did not stop these people from seeing Nux as a bad person. For someone as edgy and sarcastical as Nux, this was pretty much all that was needed to stamp him as a villain in the Anime and Vtubing community. And well, Nux, he embraced that title. Nux always has been someone that did not shy away from giving his thoughts about problems that he encountered. And with his personality, the best way to piss off haters and own them was to just embrace that villain role that they pushed on him. Naturally, if you understand the nature of Nux's character, you would also understand that it's just one of his gigs. Instead of really fighting all of the negativities thrown at him, Nux and his community just started to pretty much laugh at them and act as if Nux actually was a villain. Because at some point, it would just be a waste of time and energy to respond to people who clearly dislike you and want to cancel you for pretty much everything. So well, just make fun of them. While I think that it is pretty entertaining and fun to have this ownage going on, I still do not think that it is the best thing for Nux. Because well, it will never help in fully clearing his name in the eyes of the public. And while it might be so that Nux and most of his community just do not care about it anymore, I think it is pretty unfortunate. One of the things that rarely gets talked about when it comes to Nux, even by himself or his community, is what for a compassionate person that he actually is. Sure, he's edgy, his personality is extremely out there, he's a degenerate like no other, and some of his takes cause great division. But when you look at all he has done without having an extreme amount of negative bias, you can't really see the evil overload that so many people talk about. In a sense, he kinda became the beating horse in terms of anime and Vtuber content creators. Just like SEO and Kirito were in the anime community. Psst, hey, go watch the video. I put a lot of work into it and it is pretty good. Thank you. But what almost everyone fails to do is appreciate what Nux does for other people. The way I see it, he is someone that just cares about the people in the community. Nux did not only make content with other people because it worked and was fun, but because he genuinely appreciated the people he worked with and wanted to help them grow just like him. Seeing his content, he doesn't discriminate between small creators and big creators. There are just so many instances where Nux gladly gave a bigger platform to other creators and helped them with the promotion of their brand. Many of the creators I follow today got introduced to me through a Nux video. People like Lost Bars, Nags, Melody, and so on. I never would have known of them at the time if it wasn't for Nux. Still, I don't think that this is the creator's showing of his compassion. One of the things that Nux always had done was being honest about his thoughts and not letting himself get silenced. So whenever he feels like someone got wronged, may it be himself or someone else, he just has to respond to it in some manner. There instantly popped 3 videos in mind when I thought about this, and these videos were the ones about Quiet, Pikami, and Zion Lanza. In these 3 situations, the people in question went through extremely shitty times, with Quiet getting accused of horrible things like essay and manipulation, Pikami having been harassed during the Hogwarts Legacy debacle to the point where she couldn't really stream before graduating, and Zion having been terminated and essentially silenced by her agency Nijisanji, with her character completely smeared. I honestly really like the way he approached each situation. With Quiet, he first waited for Quiet to give his side of the story before making any statements about the situation, as he was a friend of his. With the Pikami situation, Nux made it clear that he was hesitant with making a video about who or what was at fault or calling people out, but decided not to. Pikami was well known back then because of how she was able to bring joy and positivity to her viewers with her personality. She was one that did just that, bring smiles to people. So Nux opted to make a farewell video with her, one which was filled with positivity and laughing. The last situation to me is the one that tells you the most about how Nux is. In the previous situations, it was widely accepted that Quiet and Pikami got wronged, but for Zion, the main consensus was that what Nijisanji and some of the talents there told was the truth and that she deserved to get terminated. The statement that Nijisanji put out about Zion was not short of calling her the Antichrist. When Sayu, another VTuber who totally is not related to Zion, put out a document detailing Zion's experience in Niji, well, the majority of the people did not believe her side of the story. Or at least, were sure that Zion totally was in the wrong even after the statement. What now is seen as the truth due to what happened to Selen Tatsuki was then not accepted by the court of public opinion. But that did not stop Nux from calling out the silencing that was happening against Zion. He easily could have just went with the flow or not have called out the silencing that was happening to be aligned with the public opinions, just like the events before. But that was clearly against his beliefs, and as someone that had gone through events that felt similar, he could not just gloss over the situation. And that's why he made a video about it, while the majority of people had forsaken Zion and Sayu. Nux is not the evil piece of shit you might think he is. Like I said before, most of the hate he gets comes from people who take him out of context or already formed hatred and are biased against him for pretty much whatever reason. But I firmly believe that watching all his content that he makes can help create a better understanding of what he actually is like. Even in the biggest drama he was involved in, what he wanted to do the most was help people, them being his 10 friends and other potential victims. To this day, he still is consistently helping other small creators. Just think of him recently promoting the VTubing agency Mythos. That still does not mean that he's without fault. There definitely are times where I think he really messed up, like that one time he spread misinformation about Taigaholic, a VTuber who got accused of being a PDF file. It was in a video where he told Charlie, aka Most Critical, about VTuber drama that happened over the years. Ironically, what Nux did then was exactly what I and he called people out for. People taking things out of context and not going through the full story. Speaking of Taiga, please go show him all your support. His YouTube channel got terminated recently and YouTube seems to have given a pretty unfair assessment of this situation. Needless to say, but he's having a pretty rough time, so all the support and love can help him. All that just to say that yeah, Nux does mess up at times. But as someone that has been a long time viewer of his and started wandering in a lot of different communities, I started forming this understanding of Nux. He isn't a bad guy, he actually is a pretty decent dude who most of the time gets misunderstood. Nowadays he mostly streams on Kick and is more focused on doing reactionary content, with his secondary channel Nuxenor being the one he mostly uploads his videos on. He does upload on his main channel but on a much slower pace than before. Alles I would like to mention is his podcast he has with Mudahar and Umpaville, the Some Ordinary podcast. It is pretty good in my opinion and well, you might just have to check it out yourself. Well, that was all I really needed to say about this topic. Leave a comment to give your thoughts about this video. Also like and subscribe for more content. I mainly make anime and gaming related videos, but I like to delve in topics that I feel passionate about. Anyways, that was enough out of me. This was Zartigana. Until next time.